So the last time we talked about data mesh, but there is also a new kid on the block called Data Fabric. So today we want to talk about what is the difference between data mesh and data fabric. Do they compete, or what's about that? So the first question, of course, in this case is, please give us a roundup around data fabric. What is data fabric from your point of view?
Absolutely. So data fabric is data management software platform that is can connect to a broad range of different data stores and even streaming data across a distributed data estate. So that could include data stores that are in multiple different clouds, on premises, software as a service applications, and also external data sources and streaming data as well. So all of that potentially, which is how we kind of get the idea of what data fabric is about, to be able to spread across a kind of distributed data landscape and reach all of the different data that companies now have in so many different places. So data fabric software is a software platform that's capable of doing that. And there are some key important characteristics, if you like, of a data fabric software platform. I think it obviously needs to be flexible and support automated deployment. In other words, it can run anywhere. It can run on different clouds, can run on premises, is able to potentially connect to and even potentially reach all the way out to the edge. So we need that secure connectivity to all of those range of different data sources. In addition, increasingly now, I think data fabric is including a data catalog. So it has its own data catalog, or can connect to third-party data catalog products in order to support the automatic discovery of data across that distributed data estate. Also needs to support collaborative sort of augmented development of pipelines. And so it's not just for the IT professional, it's role-based in that it can support both citizen data engineers as well as professional IT data engineers, and allow them to collaborate on the same team to build pipelines. So it needs to support modern things like data ops with CI/CD support to allow you to quickly check in components and automate testing, automate deployment if the testing passes successfully, and manage all of that on behalf of the organization. Of course, it also needs to be scalable because volumes of data are getting larger. We're getting more and more data coming in. Need to be able to scale to handle large volumes of data, as well as structured, semi-structured, unstructured data, and to be able to process that. Needs to be extensible. So, if you have some serious complex transformations, or you need to be able to run machine learning model on unstructured data to pull structured data out of text, then I should be able to do that. I should be able to either write code or include code from somewhere else, or a machine learning model for somewhere else to be able to process this kind of data. And it should also include a unified governance of that data. So the ability to govern the data across this distributed data landscape. And finally, kind of have a data marketplace to publish data products that we spoke about in our last meeting, Gregor, the creating data products and publishing them in a data marketplace so that people can shop for data, and also use the marketplace to govern the data sharing around the organization and to track it so that we can see that we're getting compliant use of data around the enterprise, and to make sure that people request access to the owners of those data products if they're not immediately authorized to use it. So yeah, so Data Fabric is a software platform for managing a distributed data estate that allows us to discover and build pipelines and produce ready-made data and share it, as well as govern the data within that data estate. So it's a comprehensive platform for that.
Okay, so can I imagine a kind of a workbench for a data engineer or for all those data engineers in a company with all the needed tools inside? Is that the right picture of
Yeah,
it?
I think what we're seeing is the need for these kind of project-oriented, sort of collaborative environment, perhaps different role-based interfaces within this environment. So it is a workbench, but perhaps using things like artificial intelligence to automate some of the tasks and make it easier for, let's say, citizen data engineers to engineer data without having to do everything themselves, using AI to be able to assist them to be more productive, perhaps to automate the mappings by using recommendations to take advantage of recommended transforms and things like that in order to quickly and rapidly build these pipelines, and also to be able to quickly check in their work and trigger automatic testing so that they don't have to deal with the complexities of doing that.
Okay, I see. So that leads me to the next question. In terms of you've managed our discussion around data mesh and data products. And I experienced in my discussions with companies that there's a mixing of the topics, data fabric, data mesh. Is it can I understand it as an alternative, or how can I manage those both things, data fabric and data mesh?
Okay, so I don't think they're an alternative. I think you can use data fabric to build the pipelines that create data products in a data mesh. So that's the way I look upon data fabric. Of course, if you choose not to implement a data mesh, you can still use data fabric. You can still use it to construct other analytical systems, but clearly, yes, data fabric is a platform that you can use so that multiple teams of domain-oriented data engineers can work together and build data products that can be shared around the enterprise. So absolutely, one is available. Data fabric is a platform that I can use to build data products in a data mesh. It's not an alternative to a data mesh, in my opinion.
Okay. So I think that leads to the next question in terms of what you have already mentioned. So can data fabric be used in implementing a data mesh, or does that not make any sense? And maybe I can extend that question with do I maybe need data fabric to build a data mesh?
This is a very interesting question. I mean, of course, yes, it can be used in implementing a data mesh. That does make sense. And so then the question is, if you didn't use it, what would be the alternative? And the alternative is often best of breed tools. And that's a challenge. I think that's a challenge because if multiple different teams or data engineers use different tools, we do not yet have an industry standard to share metadata across tools. With Data Fabric, we can share metadata across multiple teams and multiple data engineers because they're all using the same platform. But in the case of best of breed tools, it makes it much harder to for different data engineers to understand who's building what with different tools because they can't see the metadata across the different tools. So it would require a lot more let's say, management of the whole program of development, a lot more people involved to make sure that we're not reinventing and we're reusing if we didn't have data fabric. Also, bear in mind, you can do more with data fabric than just build a data mesh. You can also use it to govern your data within a data landscape. And so data governance is increasingly becoming more and more important over the years, especially as we have more data, more places where the data is stored, and we have more legislation in different parts of the world, in GDPR in the European Union, of course, but if you're a global company and you operate in different parts of the world, you have to worry about more than just GDPR. We need to know about California Consumer Privacy Act, or the Australian equivalent of this, or the Japanese equivalent of this. So we have to remain compliant with multiple different legislation in different parts of the world, and Data Fabric helps you to implement a governance program and govern the data within a data estate.
Okay. So can I summarize it like this, that when I plan to do a data mesh, it's really helpful to think in the direction of data fabric to standardize my whole workbench, the infrastructure and everything behind, so that it's easier to govern all those data mesh data products inside my company? Is that the right thing?
Yes, and also can help with this federated computational data governance that's talked about in data mesh, because you can share metadata across multiple teams within a data fabric, makes that job much more easy. Because then if I'm able to detect sensitive data with a data catalog as part of the data fabric, multiple teams can see that and know that they have to protect that sensitive data when building data products. And so for me, it's not just, let's say, a modern name for ETL tools. Data Fabric is far more than that, and much more comprehensive platform, able to do much more than just support data engineering.
Okay, so I think we should talk in the future a little bit more in detail about data fabric, but for the meantime, maybe you can give us a few hints and tips where we can step in to have more details on data fabric, for instance, because it sounds very interesting for me in terms of being a kind of a success factor also for building data mesh at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course, I have a lot of education around this, both, first of all, practical guidelines for implementing a data mesh is a 2-day class where I talk about data fabric as very, very important key technology in helping build a data mesh. But I also talk about it, and I have another class on centralized governance of a distributed data landscape, which is really about how can you use the capabilities of data fabric to solve the governance problem, and not just data quality, but data sharing and data purity, data privacy, etc., all in there. And of course, there are the book on data mesh, I think, may have some discussion around this from Jean-Marc Degani, and we can give you a link to that. And also there are a number of different good articles out there around data fabric that have been emerging.
Okay, yeah. So thank you, Mike. Please send us the links and all the resources you have mentioned. I will be happy to add that in our contents. So thank you for today. Very valuable discussions with you today on the topic data fabric and data mesh. And we will follow up as soon as possible with the next topic on that episode. So thank you very much. See you the next time.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks.